Welcome to IoT and IP Explained, the podcast where we explore the intersection of the Internet of Things and intellectual property rights with experts from around the world. My name is Claudia Tapia, your moderator for this series. The Internet of Things, or IoT, is a rapidly growing field that includes everything from smart homes to industrial automation. It involves technologies like sensors, data processing, connectivity, cybersecurity, and AI. And behind these innovations is often significant research and development, usually protected by patents. If you're planning to develop an IoT device, such as an industrial robot for logistics or a smartwatch that monitors blood pressure, a crucial step is conducting a freedom to operate, or FTO analysis. A FTO search helps you identify patents your product might infringe on. It allows you to make informed decisions, such as recognizes the need for a license. But once you reach the negotiation stage, how do you determine the value of a patent portfolio? And what if AI could help assess this value? Is it reliable or admissible? Today, we'll discuss these and other exciting questions with our guest, Axel Contreras. Axel stands out for his impressive combination of legal and technical expertise. He holds a bachelor's in administrative information systems and LLM in IP and competition from the MIPLC program at the Max Planck Institute, and has worked extensively as a patent agent, IPR Commercialization Manager, and legal consultant. He has also co-founded 2 startups. One of them provided services of automated data acquisition for the manufacturing industry. Axel, it's such a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you very much. Hello, Claudia.
Axel, let's start with the basics. Beyond licensing negotiation, what other purposes do you see in understanding the value of a patent?
The value of a patent is important for many different reasons, and it also depends on how you want to use that patent. For instance, startups see a lot of value in patents because they can pitch them and use them as an anchor to attract more investment when they are trying to grow. It is always a decision where a patent's value can be very helpful. So it's a ton of possibilities when you have a patent to define the value. It's complicated, but it's very useful.
It is, and we will see today a little bit more about this. We have at 4IP Council explained several times the link between attracting investors and patents, but also having good quality patents. So what does a high quality patent mean?
Well, it may mean different things for different people. For instance, if you are a patent attorney and you are experienced in prosecution of patents, you will define a high quality patent, one that is very well written, where the broads are claimed that they cover all the invention and as much as possible, but also that they do not overlap with the prior art or with any other inventions. On the other side, if you are a litigator, you will define a high quality patent as one that can withstand any challenge that it becomes in court, maybe during licensing negotiations or during infringement proceedings. If your patent withstands those proceedings, then you will say that that is a high quality patent.
Mm-hmm. So it depends on the perspective.
Yes, quality is in the eye of the beholder.
Moving to AI, what is an automated patent valuation?
Automated patent valuation is when people try to use the current technologies, such as AI systems, to determine the value of a patent. That is, using the technology together with a human approach to be able to get faster to evaluation of that patent.
The reason why I ask you is because we are seeing in the last years platforms using this automated patent valuation. And I would be interested to know what data do these platforms analyze?
Yes, these patents try to analyze a lot of information. Since computers can analyze a lot more information than humans can, people try to feed them everything they can in order for the computer to analyze and try to find patterns. And with these huge amounts of data, they try to find the value that a human being will find in the patent. They are trying to gather data sets from many different areas, but mostly they focus on information that is available in patent databases, information that comes out from court proceedings, and information that is publicly available from companies, either startups or big firms, whenever they have licensing information about their patents.
To conduct these patent evaluations, the platforms follow certain factors. And I think it would be great to look at each of those, at least those which are most commonly used. Let's start with backward citations. What are they and what is your opinion?
Yes, of course. Well, backward citations are defined as the number of patents or non-patent sources that are cited within a patent. There have been many approaches to what this number means. Some people think that having many backwards citations would mean that the person who drafted the patent did a very thorough job on trying to find prior art and was very meticulous on finding the closest inventions that were already patented, while some others have the opinion that if you have a lot of backward citations, that will mean that your patent is already in an area where there's a lot of things existing already. If you don't have backward citations, this means that your patent is isolated in a new area of technology that hasn't been explored before, and therefore it will be more innovative. Let's put it that way. Of course, the correlation is difficult to prove. We cannot simply automate it, saying the computer program to say, when it has more backward citations, give it a higher value, because we haven't been able to find a real world correlation between these areas.
Mm-hmm. What about citations of non-patent literature?
It is exactly the same case. When you have citations of non-patent literature, sometimes it might be problematic because some people will engage in citing their own documents that they have published as papers, scientific papers or so, where they sometimes publish a bit too much of the information before applying for the patent. And then in some jurisdictions that could be problematic. In some others, you have grace period before the filing date for your patent, and then it's not a problem. And that will actually show that you have already established an initial point in your research stage and you are continuing on to further stages. Again, it's not a factor that you can correlate strongly with value.
Not that easy.
No.
Let's go to another factor. Maybe we are more lucky. What about forward citations?
Forward citations is defined as the number of times that your patent is cited in the future. So when other people apply for patents and they cite your patents, then you receive a forward citation. That one, there has been empirical studies that they have found a higher correlation from those forward citations with value. So yes, we're getting somewhere there. The problem with the forward citations is that there is a significant delay of time between your patent application or even your patent publishing or grant until you start receiving the forward citations. You need to wait at least 2 or 3 years to start receiving the citations. And that gap makes that even though this factor is more reliable than the others that we mentioned before, it's difficult to use because of that time that you need to wait.
Mm-hmm. I see. Patent claims.
Patent claims. That's a big discussion. Again, there's many points of view about it. We're talking about independent patent claims.
Mm-hmm. So how many independent patent claims?
Yeah, the factor is defined as the number of independent patent claims that a patent has. Some say that having more is better in case one of them is not accepted or invalidated during the prosecution. or after. But also from experience, this is not really the case. Sometimes patents with just one independent claim will be, if the claim is well written, it will be super strong and it will withstand anything that you throw at it. So the correlation there between quality and number of claims is difficult to establish.
Yes, it is. And now we're moving to my favorite factor, which is essentiality.
Yes. Essentiality is when a patent is essential for the implementation of a standard. And that is also interesting factor to analyze, because anyone will consider that, okay, if a patent is essential, then it is needed for a specific standard, and therefore it will be valuable. The thing is that we are not sure if the patents are indeed essential, because the information that these platforms that are evaluating the factors are taking from their sources is when companies declare the patents as essential.
As potentially essential.
As potentially essential, you're correct. And it may turn out that in the end, the patent was not actually essential for the standard. And therefore, the reliability of the information available for this factor is very limited. It's nothing that you can really, the information that you have is not highly reliable.
I would say not reliable at all, at least not at this stage.
Exactly.
I think in the future things will change, and we'll have AIs evolving. They have evolved enormously in the last 1.5 years. I mean, it's really incredible, and it helps, but still not to the point that we can rely on that factor.
Yes, exactly. You're touching a very good point, because nowadays, the only information that is able to be fed into the AI systems is that information of whether a patent has been declared as essential or not. But when the AI systems get good enough to do the analysis themselves between the patent and the standards, and then compare whether the patent reads into the standard, and they can do that with a high reliability, then the story will be totally different.
Indeed, it will. We had this discussion shortly before regarding how right now it's more about generative AI. And in the episode with Marta Duque, the audience could learn about what it is between the autonomous and automated, and that we are still not there. Although it gives the impression that understands the invention, and it gives the impression that understands prior art, but still not there. And I thought you gave a very interesting remark on this, but maybe we'll move to that once we finish with the factors.
Sure.
Which is regarding family size.
Mm-hmm. Family size is all the patents that share the same priority application, or that belong to the same family in different jurisdictions around the world. Of course, this gives you an indication of the value that has been given to the patent by the owner of the patent. That is a good indicator, yes, because if there's at least one person out there in the world that already believes in the value of that patent, and therefore decided to invest in broadening the family of patents around that invention. However, this is not always necessarily translated into a high value for licensing purposes.
Mm-hmm. What about grant lag?
Yes, grant lag is defined as the period between the application of the patent and the grant of the patent. Some people argue that a quick grant means that the patent was well drafted and that the office had nothing to say about it, and they said, okay, yes, this is totally new, totally has the inventive step and is useful, so let's grant it. On the other hand, other people see a longer period as meaning that even though there were office actions, even though there were some obstacles in the way, the owner of the patent decided to continue with the prosecution and decided to go until the final step in order to get it granted. Again, there has not been a high empirical correlation between the grant lag and the real value of a patent.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned office actions. Not sure if everybody in the audience understands. What is this?
Office actions is when the patent office sends you a letter as a patent applicant and they say, okay, we cannot accept this claim as you have drafted it because this, and that. They give you the reasons, and then you have the option to answer to that letter or to rephrase the claim or trying to accommodate for what they have found.
And this could go into several plans, not necessarily only once, but
yes,
you go, it's a kind of ping pong game until you get your patent or you give up.
Exactly. And it's also different in different jurisdictions around the world, which is also relevant for the grant lag, because there are some countries where the average grant or rejection period is around 18-24 months. But then there's other countries that have a huge backlog of patents in their patent offices, and they are only now granting or rejecting patents that were applied for in 2018 or before, something like that. So it's always widely different depending on where you get the information from.
It's a very important point. Let's move to the next one, which is the legal status, whether this patent is still granted or pending or abandoned.
Absolutely. That has a correlation in the sense that you can use it even as a filter, because you can filter out all the patents that are, first of all, those that were not granted. Of course, you don't even have a patent, so there's no value in those. For those that were granted, after you get a patent granted, you need to pay the maintenance fees every year or every 5 years, depending on how it works in your jurisdiction. But you need to pay for your patent to remain active. If those fees have not been paid, you're no longer the holder of a patent, and then there's also no value in that patent. You cannot sell it, you cannot license it. So this kind of information is information that is easily accessible, that is available in all of the patent databases, and that you can use as the very first filter for patent value. Only those patents that are active and that have been maintained are those that will get value.
So it won't be granted and they maintain patents. Makes absolutely sense. And what if they have been licensed? Do they have more value?
Yes, absolutely. A patent that has already been licensed is considered as valuable because then there's at least two entities that consider it valuable. Remember that in the other factor we mentioned, there was at least one person who believed in that patent. Now you have at least two, the one who invested in the patent and the one who bought it or acquired the rights in whatever transaction means. The only problem with this is that it's very difficult to have publicly available information for those transactions. When a patent is completely transferred to another owner, that is reflected in the patent databases. But if it's just a licensing that is in a contract between two companies, most of the time, those contracts are not publicly available. So you don't know exactly which patents or how or under which terms were they licensed. And even if you can find out of some of them, you will need to compile the information from many different companies around the world and in all languages. And it's very difficult to have a proper data set that you can feed to an AI system.
Another factor is whether the patent survive opposition or litigation. Why is this relevant?
This factor is considered by some of the platforms, not by all of them. And the argument that they give is that when a patent has already survived opposition or litigation, it shows again that the belief in the value of that patent by the owner is even stronger than just the initial investment. The issue with that is that only a very small amount of patents from the whole set of patents that exist in the world get to a decision regarding opposition or litigation in the proceedings. Many times, as you know, litigation cases get settled and they don't reach a final outcome by the authorities, or also in opposition, sometimes the company settle. So it's difficult to find examples of patents that go through the whole process.
I can imagine, although I think that for those cases, then it shows a higher value because then you have more experts who have been looking at that patent and reaffirm the
Yes,
decision.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Another factor, we are finishing. We only have three more. Who is the patent owner? Why is this relevant regarding the patent validity?
Some people argue that the owner of the patent transfers or shows some characteristics within the patent that may be an indicator of value. Some people think that big companies invest more in research and development, or that they are in a better position to create high value patents as opposed to startups or independent inventors. However, many times in history, we have seen that this is not necessarily the case. Also, big companies can create bad quality patents. Also, independent inventors and startups can create patents which become a huge success, and they are the breakthrough invention in their area. So the real world correlation is not that high.
Okay, so I see here you're a little bit more skeptical
Yes.
of the volume. And the number of days left until the patent lapses?
That is also a very good indicator that can work as a filter for you in the same way as the legal status. Because if you have a patent that was granted, that has been maintained for 15 years, and it's now on its 18th year of life, of course, it's a patent with value because it's still in place, but it only has 2 years left for their validity. So in those situations, you need to check whether the investment in transferring that patent will be useful, given that you only have 2 years to exploit that patent. You need to recover that investment in 2 years. Therefore, usually patents that are approaching the end of their life are less valuable.
Mm-hmm. And the final one, the technical scope of the invention.
That is, the technical scope is defined as the 4-digit classification that is given by patent offices to the patent. And this is because people consider that some areas of technology nowadays are more valuable than other areas. The argument is that if you are now creating inventions that are classified as biotechnology against cancer, that area is more valuable than, I don't know, planting apples. It's just a wild example because I'm not sure exactly what to use as an example. But the point is that people give higher value to some areas of technology than to others. I am also skeptical about this one again, because even in areas that are high value or that see a lot of business activity, that does not mean that all the patents will be valuable in that field, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. I see. What are the benefits and the limitations you see with these platforms?
It's very good that this is being done, because I'm all in favor of using technology to help people in this kind of activities. I like all that has to do with technology transfer, and I know the huge amount of work that you need to do to assess a patent, to check whether, well, everything that we discussed right now. And if technology can help you do that faster, more reliable, with less effort, that would be better. And the technologies are getting better and better and better. The last couple of years, there has been an unbelievable change in what we can expect from AI systems. I think that in the future, this will only continue. So eventually, we will have more and more tools that are more reliable in what we can get from them. For now, however, we still need a lot of human involvement. We still need people to participate in the process and to check whether the information being provided by the AI systems is correct or not.
From our discussion before, I was telling you about this AI, generative AI, still not understanding what is an invention, not understanding what is prior art, but the day that they will, then they will be able to combine them, and also have all these conversations and this exchange that we talked before with the patent office. And then you mentioned something, you said, if I recall correctly, that you don't think it's necessary it fully understands the invention. Could you share your thoughts on this?
Yes, there's one interesting way to put it, and it's that I do not like the term artificial intelligence. And I do not like it because it makes us focus on the wrong part of the argument. When we hear artificial intelligence, we think about intelligence in the way that we are intelligent. We humans, we created the term intelligence to define us. Trying to adapt that term to technology, to a computer that has very different processes inside, that has a different functioning, is difficult. But that's not necessarily the core discussion. Can machine think? Well, that is a question for philosophers, and they can redefine our own interpretation of thinking and our own interpretation of intelligence. And they should do that, of course. But for us in our field, it's not important if the machine can think, but it's important whether the external expression after that thinking that we do can be replicated by a computer. There were moments when we thought, well, we are intelligent because we can play chess. Well, computers are not as intelligent as us, or not intelligent in the same way as we are, but they can play chess and better than humans. Can a computer also replicate that outcome that we do when we use our intelligence to analyze patterns? Can a computer, in its own way, in its own behavior, replicate and analyze and get to a similar outcome, or even better than the one that we do? As of today, no, but we are not far from that.
I was talking today with a colleague of mine, and he was telling me, I'm sure we will come to this, and I just don't know it's going to be in 3 years or 30. Things are evolving so quickly, which is, I think, for many great news.
Yes.
I love to ask you a last question, which is, can you share with us a lesson learned?
Yes. This one might come as a surprise, being that I'm a promoter of technology and digitalization. But one of the lessons that I have learned is that human interaction always comes first. When I was younger, I always had this doubt, should I approach this person to try to do this or not? Should I try to engage in a conversation with someone, whatever the purpose was? And out of whatever reason it was, many times I didn't do it. But I learned in my life that people want to talk. People always have a human side in them that you can approach and that you can start interesting conversations. And that gets you very, very far in all aspects of life.
It does. I fully agree with it. Sometimes I'm in conferences and I look at a table and I don't know anyone. But I always think, each of them, they have something interesting. I just need to figure out what it is, because everybody knows about something and that I don't know, at least one, if not many other things. And it's a huge opportunity to connect to that person. And if you make this match, somehow you are connected with that person, and then you can evolve very quickly with other topics. So it's a great lesson learned. Thank you very much for sharing. If I recollect from what we have been talking today, my takeaway is that we have different platforms that use AI, that they use different factors in their assessment, whether a pattern has a better quality. Not necessarily all those factors are the best ones to analyze, but AI is moving very fast, and hopefully soon we will have reliable platforms that we can use without human intervention. This could be in a few years or a lot longer, but I leave this conversation in a positive, optimistic way. And I've learned a lot today. Thank you so much, Axel. And I look forward to our next discussion.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Always, comments welcome. Please feel free to send them to ipwithclaudiatapia@hotmail.com or just in LinkedIn under Claudia-Tapia.
And I hope to see you very, very soon. Thank you.